So, it's been a long time since I've been on this actual site, account, channel, whatever you want to call it. The once, I can't even call it great, but the once rising Franchise History TV, now known as Franchise Media. I could say this channel was at a crossroads. I lost interest in this channel. To be honest, I lost interest in this channel mainly because I had a basketball channel that was doing better and needed my attention more, and got monetized very quickly as well. So that needed my attention more than this actual channel. And let me be honest once again, I got tired of talking about cinema and the privacy of cinema and how much the destruction of once great franchises have went down the hill fast, because I wasn't even watching any movies from the MCU, Star Wars, or any franchise that came out of DC. So I said, wrap it up, I'm done. The only thing that really brought joy to me when it came to this channel was when October came around and it was time for horror films to come around and be reviewed. Well, October's right around the corner. I don't know what I'm gonna do for this channel in October. Will Horror Spectacular 26 happen? I do not know. We'll have to see. But since I left this channel full time, things have gotten different when it comes to my movie watching. Things have gotten different when it comes to Hollywood. Hollywood's a piece of crap right now. They are. Disney decided, let me bring back Robert Downey Jr. to put butts in seats because we're failing. And now you got Avengers Doomsday coming out in a few months. Warner Brothers, I don't know what the hell is going on over there with the ownership. I don't know who owns who owns what, who owns does. At this point, I really don't care to keep up. But as far as DC is concerned, they don't know what they're doing. They thought James Gunn's new DC universe was going to be the absolute bee's knees. And 2 movies in, it looks like a disaster. The problem with Hollywood is they don't know their characters. They don't know the characters that they're writing. I watched Superman, James Gunn's Superman last year, and I was quite annoyed with it. Everybody in that film I couldn't take serious. You got Lex Luthor crying. It just wasn't my cup of tea. Maybe it can get the younger Gen Z, but it ain't getting me. And I ain't bothered to watch Supergirl. I haven't bothered to watch anything that came out of, what is it, they call it the DCU. So there's that. The only thing that brings me joy is watching movies that have no sequel. A couple months ago, The Furious came out. I don't know, was it the Chinese Taiwan action movie? I enjoyed that very well. Nothing but straight up fisticuffs fight. I don't get the obsession over the obsession. I saw it. It was an alright movie, but I don't get Gen Z obsession over it. Mainly, it's a love story to Gen Z and how they do in their relationships. Possibly. Spider-Man Brand New Day. All the hoopla that's getting in until I saw a fellow YouTuber and Mauler give his 38-minute review of Brand New Day, and I thought what I thought when it first came out. I knew there was going to be some disrespectful writing going on in that movie. particularly spoiler alert who hasn't even seen it, so if you haven't seen the movie, go away. Go somewhere else. But for ones who don't care and already seen the movie, Jean Grey is nothing but a psychopathic, murderous killer. We were supposed to say that word, wasn't I? Nah, that's not Jean Grey. That's not Jean Grey. I understand that I guess she was trying to look for her sister and all, but that's not the Jean Grey I know. But now, I know the Phoenix and Jean Grey is two different entities in one. I understand it was the Phoenix taking over control of Jean Grey's body. That makes sense. But Jean Grey just being Jean Grey and going on a murderous spree? Nah, that don't work for me. And it seems like they just can't write any of these characters right. They can't write Spider-Man down to a T. Tobey Maguire will always be the patron saint to this channel and many other channels, as his especially Spider-Man 2 really illustrated the struggle that Peter Parker had to endure. See, Tom Holland, I ain't nothing against Tom Holland. He seems like a fine actor. But they seem like they just can't get away from the Stark. Yeah, there was no Stark in the last two movies. Unlike the first two. There was a President Stark in Homecoming. Some of the President Stark in Far From Home and then No Way Home. Somewhat of a presence. But they just can't write themselves away from... Matter of fact, they just can't write themselves away from including other heroes. You don't need the Hulk. You don't need the Punisher. You don't need Jean Grey and the X-Men. They couldn't make a Spider-Man movie with him dealing with Tombstone. A combination of Tombstone, Kingpin, gangsters, the Chameleon. They couldn't do that. Silvermane, they couldn't do none of that. They had to keep bringing in. You gotta bring in the Punisher. You gotta bring in the Hulk. We gotta make sure Jean Grey's in this movie. It's just like, come on. And it's the same thing with Superman 2. James Gunn's Superman 2. Why is half the Justice Society in this movie? Why can't Superman just stand alone? Zack Snyder did it. Zack Snyder did it in a shared universe. I think having the Green Lantern and Hawk Girl and Mr. Terrific in that first movie kind of took away from Superman, in my opinion. And the Odyssey. Now, the Odyssey caused a lot of hoopla because there was a black woman, actually an African-Mexican woman, Kenyan woman, portraying Helena Troy. Now, that scene was very short, but the movie was just too long. I heard they deviated from some of the plot of the original Odyssey story. But that's neither here nor there. That's what Hollywood tends to do. But rest in peace to Sam Neill, another patron of this channel, giving joy and helping to have joy in 90s kids in Jurassic Park. Somewhat becoming his character, Alan Grant, become a role model for some reason for me. I don't know why, as a kid. Also, rest in peace to Chuck Norris. We won't forget about that. I did make a video about that earlier in the year when he did pass. Well, I guess I'll see this new Ewan McGregor movie. I forgot the name of it already, with the dinosaurs. And Anne Hathaway's crazy eyes that she had in the Odyssey. And once someone get these beggars out of here, Robert Pattinson and Chris Hansen, Prime Time, coming out next month by A24. I think later in the month, next month. And then you got the re-release 35th anniversary of Terminator 2 Judgment Day. August 28th, I think it is coming out. I am very intrigued by that. You know what? I look forward to that more than half of these movies that are still coming out, which is crazy. A 35-year-old movie that I watched. about 400 times in my lifetime, in my 36 years of life. I'm more excited about a re-release of that than any other movie that's coming out later in the year. Even though this new Wolfman, werewolf that's coming out at the end of the year on Christmas Day looks interesting. And I guess I gotta see Dune 3, even though I like the second Dune, but I know some big time Dune fans have not liked any of these Dunes that come out. See, I'm not gonna sit here and disrespect Dune fans, diehard Dune fans, and say, oh, you don't know what you're talking about. Like how some of these freaking casual loppity boppity boppity Star Wars fans and came out and said, we big time Star Wars fans don't know what we're talking about. And Ryan Gosling, why you had to enter the Disney? I knew you was a Disney kid in your early years in your career and all, but why did you go back to them? Because now they got you a Star Wars Starfighter, and now they got you as Ghost Rider. See, I like Ryan Gosling. Why you have to go back? Why you have to go to Disney? Anyways, I'm sitting here patiently waiting for the opening of this new Fast and Furious roller coaster in Hollywood. It's supposed to open it's supposed to be early in the summer. Now it's almost September and it's still not open. They're just doing technical rehearsals. And you got residents nearby complaining about screens, even though they're about 30 miles out from where the Universal Studios Hollywood is located at. If y'all don't get your Karen Ken asses out of here. But anyways, will this channel be revived after this video? We'll see. Maybe it'll be periodically I make videos. I still got the basketball channel. So we shall see. Finn.